Celebrating peace. We hear a lot about the culture of peace. Ambassador Chowdhury and the late Mr. Mayor were its pioneers. But what is the culture of peace? What does that mean, and how does it feel? Who better to help us take heart in the culture of peace than these multi talented artists? Singer, producer, graphic artist Jen Johns, artist, activist, executive Jacob Johns, poet, TV host Hussein Alamri, composer and pianist Juan Antonio Cimero, fine art photographer Peter Hinkett, and creative producer Justin Gaspar. Let's join them on stage in Paris.
My name is Jen Johns, and where I come from, I'm a Black American woman, and we pray. We ask that the divine energy, however you call it, show up and be available to make way for something beautiful to happen. And so I pray. That is my favorite prayer. I love you, Lord. It is my joy to pass off the next phase of prayer to my new cousin, Jacob Johns. Let's do this. to David and to the GPEN family for bringing everybody together. It is not an easy feat to get so many brilliant minds in one space at one time to discuss peace. And we are blessed with the talents that help to lift peace as musicians and creatives. But it is my distinct honor to introduce Hussein to give us a poem at this moment. Yes. Yes.
First of all, I'm so happy to be part of Peace Educations. I talked to my papa and I'm so glad of him, Takar Robbins, one of the artists and one of the really great person in this world. I hope to see many of Takar Robbins. Men. I'll go inside the subject directly. I'll say about in Arabic, but I would love to feel what I say. Yeah, we didn't have translate, but I would love to feel it. I wrote it from my heart because peace education is really very important. I would love to have in schools some book talk about peace. We talk about tradition, about history, about maths, about science, but we don't talk about peace. We teach our children, yeah, 500 years war between this country and this country, blah, 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 but no peace. I would love to see Minister of Peace. We have Minister of Defense. Why don't we have Minister of Peace? Many things in my heart, but I don't want to talk too much. I will say in my poets, because my poets will say what in my heart. And actually we hear a lot. من إمارات المحبة والسلام للسلام العالمي منا سلام. Salam in Arabic means peace. And I thought some Arabic people here will understand and they will help you to translate. من إمارات المحبة والسلام للسلام العالمي منا سلام للشباب الطامحين من العرب للشعوب وللقلوب وللكرام للأراضي في كوننا وذريته من حروف البدء لحروف الختام لليونسكو في فرنسا الشامخة احترام في احترام في احترام في رسالة ضيها ومضمونها تربية علم وثقافة مع وئام صوت للسلم تنامى فالزمن والفضاء مملي أزاهير وحمام سلم تهديها النفوس وضبطها سلم ترسيخ المبادئ والنظام سلم تشجير المحبة والغلا سلم لما الشمل وقت الانقسام سلم تأمين الأمان ومصدره سلم مد العون تنوير الظلام سلم إخماد الحروب بما حوت سلم لا للظلم لا للاعتدام سلم لأجل السلم جينا كلنا للسلام العالمي ولأجل السلام.
Absolutely gorgeous. You have someone translate?
I have it with my brother. He
Okay.
translated it. He will send it to you.
Okay. That was absolutely gorgeous.
If you want to read it, I will read it for you.
You have the translation?
Yes.
Okay, please share.
Okay. But can I have some class for Takas? He translated it. I say, from the Emirates of loves and peace, forward, peace from us, for the aspiring youth and the Arabs, for the peoples from the hearts, from the dignity, for the lands of our universe and its of aspiring, from the beginning letters to the closing letters. For UNESCO in France, respect, respect, respect. A message of lights and content, education, science and culture with harmony. A voice for a peace that transcended time, the silver filled with flowers and dove. The peace of guiding and controlling soul, the peace of establishing principles and order, the peaceful of love and affection, peace to retain and prevent division, leaders to secure safety and its source, leader of helping to enlight the darkness. Peace, such wars without content. Peace, no injustice, no strife. Peace for peace. We are all here for world peace and for peace. Thank you.
So we represent the cultural artists that are in this space here today. And I want to ask you guys to, while the artists are going to introduce themselves, I want you to think for just a moment, or maybe feel for just a moment. What does it feel like? What does it feel like when we all live in peace? How does that feel in your body? Can you describe it? Does it have a scent? Can you see who's there? Can you see what systems are required? Meditate on that for a moment while all of the artists introduce themselves, and we'll have a conversation about that. Simaro, will you introduce yourself to the audience?
Hello. Nice to meet you here. Thank you, Darlene. Thank you, David. I'm Juan Antonio Cimarro, composer from Spain. Tomorrow we will do a special concert. And it's a pleasure for me to be here, and we could talk about how I feel the peace. Because it's very simple. We want peace, but we don't have the tools. Peace education is necessary you can help us to have the tools for get the peace.
Ariana Chugi, Hohoe Paya, Bakape Paya, Jacob Johns. My name is Jacob Johns. I'm Hopi and Alkimaratham. I'm an organizer with a collective of Indigenous wisdom keepers from around the world that advance contemporary climate policy underneath the umbrella of the UNFCCC. But those of us who are artists also know that environmental organizing, environmental protection doesn't pay anything, so I have to do portrait work. And when I think of peace, I think of humanity. You know, as an artist, as a portrait artist, as somebody who focuses on the future, I think that when you can do an eye perfectly well, it conveys emotion. And it transcends languages, it transcends words, and you feel. And the whole idea is for us to feel the same thing, to feel the care of the future, to feel the love that we have for each other. And when I think of peace, I hear the sound of children laughing, the sound of rain falling, the sound of wind going through the trees. And that's all that is inside of the peace.
My name is Peter Enquet. I'm a photographer from the Netherlands living in New York. Zakar, thank you for having me. Thank you for having Justin. I feel that as an artist we have the obligation to use that. As an artist, I feel we have the obligation to use our art to help other people and to shine a spotlight on people that might not have the opportunity to share their stories with the world. In my work, I like to shine a positive light on stories and share stories. We did a project in Congo that we'll probably talk about later that I can share. And so I will pass the microphone to my apprentice, Justin, because I also find, I asked Justin to join me because I think it's very important that we're all here, people maybe over 40, I think it's important that we give a voice to young people and hear what they have to say and how are they feeling about what we're all doing here. So I'll give you the microphone.
Hi, I'm Justin Gaspar. I work on the studio side for Peter Hinkett Studios. I work on basically targeting stories to uncover with Peter and his team and putting spotlights, especially what Peter does best, in my opinion, is we target the younger generation and uncover truths of what people go through within my age range and even younger. So yeah, that's what I do, and I'm going to pass it off to Hussein. Thank you.
Actually, I'm Hussein Amri. I'm MC for one of the biggest shows in the Middle East. It's about a poet. You can search about it. It's called Million Sport. And we support women. BBC, CNN, they report about us too much because we support the women. And we bring the women to TV, which is covering the face, and we support and we fight a lot to give freedom for women to be on TV, to be inspiring women. And it's cash actually 1 billion views for our program. And also I'm doing media advisor for peace, for some rulers or some sheikh there, which ruling the country. And actually, the most important thing, I meet my father Takar in New York, maybe for 15 or 16 years, and we work each other to culture, through culture, to have peace. And I'm so glad to be with you. Can I ask you one favor? Small details make big difference. Don't think ever that the time we spent here, it's empty, no. No. I hope you enjoy the moment. Peace is education. I talked to my father while we have break. I talk about Ottoman's empires. You know, they bring some children from a lot of country they conquered, and they teach them wars, and they be warriors, very strong warriors. Imagine if you bring small children and we teach them peace. What we will get? We have many examples in our culture. We're just now so happy that we focus on education. Peace is peace, but who's gonna teach us? Who's gonna teach us? If my father and my mother don't know to teach us about peace, we will not be peaceful people. So I'm happy to be part, and also we will work, inshallah, to make this conference bigger and bigger. I promise you, I'll give all my connections in Arab countries. I'm one of the famous people, whatever, Arabs. So I'll put, and I have 18 million followers in Arab countries, and I already post many things today. I'm so happy. I get a lot of good reflected. People need peace. People need, but nobody work for peace. Everyone work for war. Imagine every country, how much the biggest percent from income, where it go? Defense, army, fights. We should change this subject. And I don't want to talk too much. Assalamu alaikum.
That's a perfect answer and a perfect segue. What do you all feel the role of the artist is in this moment, right? So as we look out across the world and we're watching the news, how many genocides are happening right now, right? I'm from America, where mass shootings just happen every day, right? A mass shooting in America is defined by more than 4 people shot at one time. So there have been more mass shootings than there have been days of the year in the United States, right? How many places can we think of that are enduring famine or experiencing war, right? We talk about educating around peace. What role does the artist play, and do arts play in educating around peace? And we have 3 microphones here, guys. Yes.
Yeah, you know, I think for an organizer, especially somebody who focuses on environmental protection, we're always hit with obstacles. And science, it tells us that everybody's screwed. And when we try to advocate for a healthy, just, livable future, we hit roadblock after roadblock, we hit pessimism after despair. When we talk about the future for the earth, when we talk about the future for our children, it's always an apocalypse. And we're always given that everything is going to end. But as my tradition speaks of a time of renewal, and a lot of people around, a lot of traditions around the planet share this commonality where we talk about how within the destruction lies the seed of creation, and that we must focus on what is possible. Now, how can we mitigate the circumstances that are going to be forced upon us, because the science is telling us that those systems of ecosystems and environmental systems are collapsing. And we know that as these old worlds die, and these oppressive systems are systematic of that a new one will be born. And if you speak with younger children, I can speak to my daughter who's 12 years old, and I talk about the future. She has hope. She wasn't given the apocalyptic views that is forced upon us. And as artists, we have to focus on shifting, finding new creative ways to engage with positivity and focus on the future, what is possible, how can we rebuild, how do we blossom into the beautiful flowers that we were meant to be. And we have to give voice to that, we have to give energy to that. We have to shift our thinking from this negative, pessimistic world that everything is going to die, that we are all screwed and everything will end, into this is the rebirth. This is our chance to grow. This is our chance as humanity to reunite as one family so that we can move forward past nation-state separation, racism. We can move past that and become the evolved people that we were meant to be. And it's this moment, I think, this moment of time where it's pivotal, because those who come before us will think of this moment in time as the end. But those who come after us will think of this as the beginning.
New times.
And so we must emanate that which we truly desire now in the present moment and find other ways that we can shift the perspective from this pessimistic view of the future into one of optimism, one of hope, and one of rebirth.
Yeah. Yes. And I think that to your point, the idea that art can take these concepts, right? Like, we have these concepts of like peace. Like, it's big. But when you sing a note and it makes people feel calm, something changes, right? Something powerful happens, and that allows for that which cannot be explained in the common or typical academic setting to be experienced. Is that what you mean? Like, the idea that we need to have another worldview. Do you feel that our artistic expression can help to encapsulate that worldview and give it to people?
Yeah, and I think we're trying to make this conceptual concepts into reality and make it have substance. And we had to find new ways to do that, because these outdated models of living have come to their end.
Right.
And we must evolve past the Neanderthal mentality to the Homo sapiens that we were meant to be. And that we must find creative ways to do that, whether it's through art, through it's poetry, through it's through singing, whether it's a frequency shift, that we must raise our vibration in order to raise the vibration of the entire planet. And it's colonization and capitalism that has taught us that we are separate from nature. But we are here to remind you that you are part of nature, and more importantly, that you are part of the planetary consciousness. Yeah. And it's your thoughts that affect the future.
Ashe. You have something to add to that?
I kind of just wanted to revert back to your first question you asked. In today, what does an artist represent in terms of peace education? Right. And we're here at the GPEN Summit as a youth peace conference. How do we re-teach and re-educate to the younger generation that does come before us? And I am part of that younger generation under Peter and being here. And for me, I think a big thing is that artists at the end of the day are storytellers. And I think storytelling is quite important, because growing up as a kid, I think all of us as kids, we listen to stories by our parents, we listen to stories by our friends, and we listen to stories that we want to believe in. And unfortunately, I think we live in a quite polarizing time, and I think what people forget is the power of artistry in being those storytellers. I want a character as a child to believe in. So being a kid, how can that be taught through art in terms of peace? When I first started working with Peter, that was made pretty evident in his story and photographic series called Congo Tales. He made this incredible body of work that basically immortalizes in a good way the oral traditions passed through the Congos. He was able to visually capture stories that we usually don't see. And I think that's a big part of the point of re-education to our youth. To be able to understand things that you know, a younger kid would not be able to understand. So what people seem to forget sometimes too is that artistry, in the end, serves as a language and a barrier that can overcome a lot of things in terms of re-education for the youth. And it creates a lot of peace through that, which is what I think is very, very important.
Yeah. That's what I was saying is I feel like the power that we have as creatives is that we can set a vibratory tone, right? You talk about we manifest what we imagine, but the inputs on our imaginings are the things that we hear and the things that we see. So it's like a rechargeable battery, right? So that which we experience, we manifest, which then impacts our experiencing, right? And I think one of the things that drives me crazy about conversations around peace is a whole lot of talking and organizing people and not enough heart work, right? And so we're not having not even a conversation, we're not having enough experiences where people are feeling the vibration of peace, such that then we're going back out into the world and the work that you all are doing in your classrooms is vibrating from a space of peace. You're teaching from a space that is inspired by love. And I feel like the thing about being an artist is, and this is why when y'all have your board meetings, you're talking about spending money and things like this and organizing and whatnot, have those conversations with artists. We have to be in the room at the beginning, from the beginning, because we have the spiritual availability to imagine something different, right? We are energetically capable of imagining something different. So then we can manifest in the physical world something different, which brings me to Congo Tales, which is, excuse my language, incredible. Oh my God! Congo Tales, I was hoping that we would be able to share it. We'll share it tomorrow for sure on the big screen. Is gorgeous. It is like overwhelmingly gorgeous. And I think what inspires me so much about it, to the point of what I was saying, is that you took a space that we all have in our minds that's connected to conflict and trauma and pain, and you made something, oh my God, and it's so gorgeous. Why? How? You know?
Well, I was asked by an organization that has schools in the rainforest in the Congo Basin. The Congo Basin is the second largest rainforest in the world after the Amazon. And I photographed in the past. The album cover for Lady Gaga, the singer, and
Light flags.
And the organization came to me and they said, we want to bring attention to the people that live in the rainforest. What can you go there and see if you could do something? And they said, what would, because I shot Lady Gaga's album cover, that picture got her a lot more fame.
Mm-hmm.
And the Congolese government doesn't pay much attention to the people in the rainforest. Mm-hmm. So they said, what would it be? What would happen if you would go there and give the people there the same attention? Mm-hmm. Would they get a platform, and would it get attention in the world? So I went there and I met an older person, and the person said that here, when an old person dies, it's like a library of stories burning.
That's right.
Because their oral history has never been recorded. Mm. And I come from a family of artists, and we grew up in the forest, so my whole childhood was about fairy tales. Mm. And I love fairy tales, and I think that sharing fairy tales with each other is very important, and myths and tales sharing is very important. And so we decided to ask the people there to start collecting their own tales. Because of Ebola, they lost 90% of the elders, so a lot of stories, important stories, got lost. Wow. So we spent 3 years traveling back and forth. We created campfires where people would sit around in circles and share stories with each other. Some people knew beginning, some people knew middle and end of stories. We put them together. we asked a local lady that had a radio station, and there's no radios in the forest, but they would have like loudspeakers in the villages, and she would ask people to come and share their family tales. And then we had another older couple that drove around from village to village on a motorcycle and shared and asked her. So over the 3 years, it became a thing in the rainforest where everybody wanted to come and share their stories. And then what I did, sorry, my story's a little long.
No,
Okay.
beautiful. We're listening, right? We're here? Okay.
What I then did is I worked together with 2 Congolese philosophers and a group of international people. My husband, who is a Panamanian producer, he produced a project, and we have a whole group of people enthusiastic about sharing these tales. And what I did is I asked the people, how would you want to represent your own fairy tales and your own myths in my photography? So I use my expertise with my lighting and composition, and I asked them to tell their story, so I'm not dictating how their story should be told.
That's right.
And my photography is very staged. It's very, they look like big movie
Yes, they
scenes.
do.
And there was no electricity there, so we had to bring in generators. We had to bring in a stove in the kitchen for my crew and everybody to eat and sleep in tents, and it was very intense, but it became a very beautiful project. And then the point of the story in the end, what it was meant for, is that we would bring attention to the people that live in the forest and the forest itself. If you Google Congo, you see a lot of pictures of plague and war.
Right.
I wanted to shine a positive light.
Yeah.
I want people to Google Congo and see beautiful pictures
Yes.
about beautiful people and their beautiful stories.
Yes.
We were lucky enough that the book that when we published the book, it became #1 bestseller on Amazon.
Go get this book, you guys. Congo Tales.
It got on the front page of the New York Times.
Ooh.
It got on the front page of the art section of the
Oh
New York
my.
Times. It got into the collection of the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam.
Yes.
And it sold over 8,000 copies worldwide. And at the end of it all, the Congolese government that doesn't pay attention to these people and their stories, then asked us if they can show these pictures at the World Expo in Dubai. And I have a photo of the president with the works, and now here's this government proud showing
That's right.
the people that they are.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's the power of art right there. Yes, sir.
And I just want to add to that. It's really fascinating to see. I'm a student of political science, and I understand ways through academia. So when I understood that he was able to create a form of education that's not really taught about, these people around the world then have a different viewship, can understand and recollect memories that the people in the Congo experience, rather than focusing on a lot of the things that media perceives, which is quite important. And people look past artistry sometimes, and sometimes it takes a big work like Congo Tales for people to understand the depth and importance of recognizing these stories and recognizing these people for who they are.
Yeah.
And as a younger individual, to see the type of photographs that were taken of these younger kids and the things that they experience is peace working right there, is Peace Foundation. And it should be a pattern to recognize with higher forms of institutions and organizations to work with younger people, which is what I think Peter's studio and your guys' company, you and your husband's company that does best, is if you want to understand about what works for the youth, it is important to go to the youth for that, and to recognize the youth for that, and to understand the youth for that, because they have a different perception on how all of this works. So that's, in its way, Congo Tales, a beautiful form, a way of re-education, which is what the GPEN Summit is about. How can we re-educate peace? What is a tool of that? And that is artistry, and that is a book like Congo Tales.
You know, one of the things that I will say to what you're saying is that it centers the people, right? So the wisdom, sometimes educating about peace, our responsibility is really to be present to one another, to reflect one another, to hear one another, because the wisdom and the genius, that which we need to learn, we're learning from each other. And so I think a lot of times when we think as educators, we're thinking, I'm going to teach something, so I must be the authority, right? And that's not the truth, right? Like, it's why we have to talk to youth, because they have a wisdom, right, that we need to get connected to. This wisdom, people from the Congo have a wisdom that people from East Oakland, where I'm from, don't have. People from East Oakland have a wisdom that people from the Ukraine don't have, right? There's a way that we can experience one another more wholeheartedly when we leverage art for that, you know?
Like you were saying, what I thought was very beautiful is that not make things so apocalyptic. It's very important because to shine a positive light. My mother works 3 days a week at the refugee center, and because she, as a volunteer, because she knows everybody there, when she walks to the village, she's connected with all these different cultures, while maybe other white women in her village would feel some certain way. She's connected with everybody. So if we share stories with one another, we're no longer afraid of each other's culture, and I think that's also very important.
Yes, yes.
I'm so happy that in Expo, in the way I was the MC for the Expo, and I meet the Congo peoples. I'm so happy, and I want to stand up to respect Peter, to spend the 3 years from your life just to make attentions for people who live in this forest. Can we have big claps for him, please? And this is the story, when we are told the wrong story, your story, please have patience, have pain, have a lot of things. We respect what you do. The second thing, I would love actually to say, sorry that I put my phones up everywhere, because I would love this message to reach a lot of people. So please, I beg you, talk about education, talk about what's going on here. Tell people what we would love to do. Peter, I just want to say that I love what you do. Well, 3 years is not easy, brother. Well, you're a really great man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So, I want to direct this next question. I want to direct this next question to my brother here, who I have adopted. So all of these guys here are like my new siblings. I have everybody. This one here, we happen to share the same last name. No blood relationship, but I've decided that he's my cousin, so. My brother, right? So this is also my brother, Juan Antonio Simaro. When you have a moment, do yourself a favor, and you can thank me later if you'd like. Just sit down, go to YouTube, close your eyes, and listen to this man play. It is delightful. No. I'll speak slower. To feel the vibration of love that comes through this man's fingers is something so special. So I'm very excited that tomorrow you'll get a fuller experience of what this is. But I wanted to ask, does anyone speak Spanish fluently here? Awesome. Okay, so I know that I talk fast. So I'm going to try to speak slower, but I would really appreciate a translator. Anybody who's available to help translate this conversation, that would be great. Awesome, please. So, you got it? We're good? Okay. What motivated you? What inspired you to write the Overture for Humanity?
What I try to talk in English. Well, I'm a very happy people, very fortunate people. So I think, if I'm a composer, but only compose, it's not sufficient.
It's not good for you. Yeah, it's not good enough.
So I think my obligation from him, I must to try to change the world in the little space I have.
Yes.
And if everybody do the same, we can change the world. So with that mind, I composed Overture for Human Rights, because everybody knows that human rights exist.
Yes.
But we forget make it real.
Yes.
But also we forget and we say, oh, the human rights, we haven't, because another people is bad people. No, we have to do
it. We have to do it.
We have to say to the people, to the government,
Yes.
please do it.
Yes.
And we have to help to the people.
Yes.
If I'm happy and we are the 10 peoples, but only one hasn't human rights,
Then we're not
something
free.
is fine.
Yeah.
So I composed that, and with my orchestra, with my musician, I played with Ukrainian people, Russian, Jewish, Palestine, and we play.
Yes.
We don't have problems.
Yes. That's right. That's right.
Yes, and this open too, well, I have a piano here, not a symphony. Well, it's like it's starting like John, little by little, and sometimes violins and some musicians are playing more and more like a Pacific revolution, asking for peace.
Yes. A peace revolution. I love that because we don't speak the same language, but when you play, I feel peaceful. So I'm gonna say, people unite as one, and you all will say, Ghetto International. Can you do that? I believe in you. Okay, I'm gonna say, people unite as one, and you will say, Ghetto International. Let's try. People unite as one. Ghetto International. Okay, now hold on for a second here, ladies and gentlemen. We're at a global peace summit. Okay. I know you can say international. I know, I believe it. I know you can. Okay. People unite as one. Ghetto International. 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 This is my brother Samaro playing the piano. People unite as one. Ghetto International. People unite as one. Ghetto International. This is rebel music. Come now, get into this. For the ghetto movement, people on nations, it's time to hear the word. Hear the banging of the drum. Feel the change it's gonna come. It's so you unite as one, people on nations, it's time. See, I've been listening to the moon. I've been praying to the sun. And the wind's been telling me that the change is going to come. I see that fire in your eye. That the flood is coming true before the end of tonight. What will become of you again? People unite as one. Ghetto International. People unite as one. Ghetto International. This is rebel music. Come now, get into it. For that ghetto movement, people on nations, it's time. People unite as one. Ghetto International. People unite as one. Ghetto International. Let me speak for my sisters international. We're giving women and ghettos to the faith that they can't handle it. We watch our streets and our systems eat them whole. See, we have no scattered, we gentle, I'm ready to save our clothes now. We dipping it low, we playing the whole role. See, ghetto girls, remember time of the whole world is watching you, so. What we showing them, tell me where we going, then the universe is strengthening from peer to peer. Ghetto women, generation, hip hop. But when it's up to us, we got to make this madness love. So we build them up, then we give them some love. No. Ghetto women, it's on us. Got to give them some love. People unite as one. Ghetto International. People unite as one. Ghetto International. This is rebel music.
to get us started, we're gonna do a bit of an artist show off again. You already met these two, and us two are kind of new, but yeah, I am really excited to be here, and I'm really excited to share a bit of art with all of you. So, my name is Anar. I am from Spain, from Madrid, and I do a lot of poetry things, especially there. And I will be reading to you 2 poems. So the first one is lately I've been trying to combine a bit more for a few years poetry with activism. I'm also an activist locally. So this is a poem I wrote a few months ago that I've also presented in another conference in Berlin, so I would like to share it with you, and then we'll do one just for Pisa specifically for this conference. I will stand up with your permission. Today, I cried thanking a professor I met 4 months ago, and I'll never forget. Let me ask you this. If our history is what we read in books, how many politicians can you name? Schumann, Monet, Adenauer, Gasperi. What if I ask you for some that aren't men? Within these walls, for the first time, philosophy and history and politics have the face of a woman, and I ache for all the girls who haven't heard her. In class, the first time feminists came out of a professor's mouth was within these walls, and I've shouted it in a march. I've found spaces that hold my hands, but whenever I forget that not everyone is represented in the same image of a man, I come back to this. In October, we visited the first class that allowed women inside 1910, and I wonder if a woman in 2125 will look back at us as the first times women were also included in textbooks. Today, I cried, and I hope everyone feels as held as I have during 4 months. I tell you that I feel as though this class was a womb that if words had a certain taste, I'd never savor them before. I can tell you that I'll always chase conversations that find this again, but words will never explain what happened between these walls, much less inside of a girl who was truly seen in education for the first time. The exciting wait for attending class, the morning of knowing that today I cried because I don't know when will be the next time that I will feel like this. I don't think I've ever felt this way, and you ask what I imagine future universities like, and I can't decide whether to wish that everyone finds a teacher that hurts to let go of, but all I truly wish is that there wasn't a name in a list of readings that whispered, "You are also meant to be here." And for the second one, I am really lucky that I will be accompanied, kind of improvising on the piano. So, here we go. A culture of peace is a beautiful slogan, and it starts small. We only need to live someplace where we aren't thrown bombs. 1/4 of countries were in active war zones last year. From the stepping hill we see news from, wars are kept within screens, while others feel the floor crack under them. Where's the peace for unburied bodies, for their families? But it all starts small. A culture of peace requires culture. I am culture in the complexities of a system where women are inferior to men, POC to white, poor to rich, LGBT to heterosis. Where is culture when the books are filled by authors who look the same? When culture is a privilege one chooses to spend on? Where is the culture for the ones who don't have time to read because they work 3 precarious jobs, or because they depend on this year's harvest to make do? Because they care for the children or elderly and it's not even recognized as a job. But it's all simple. peace can be taught. 1 in 10 people don't know how to read or write. Peace is grounding yourself, but the ground is desertified. The nutrients are gone from the exploitation needed to keep up consumption, and the tree leaves started to fall only in December because before it was too hot. I wish we could write non-political poems, but for that I need to listen to the birds. And even if there are no bombs, birds have left because you cannot explain climate change to them. Either you're in peace or you're not. Where's the peace for the ones who were flooded when the government, the finance, the emergency services, and called extremists clam out solutions? They are dead because Valencia went to work and their bodies were trapped under mud. Where is the peace for those who were taught to hate their kind, to hate their love, to understand it as sinful? If peace starts with ourselves, where's the peace found in a mental health epidemic, with bodies trying to disappear into thin air, bodies falling and jumping into the abyss? How can peace be taught to hearts without hope when hope slips away with every death? Sometimes peace can only start with fighting the system. Maybe peace starts with pointing to war, however violent it feels. It's never your fault not to feel at peace. And a deep breath will not breathe air into life, but a shout sometimes might. Anger may be the first teaching towards peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Oniana Chugit Koholet Vaya, Bakap Vaya, Jacob Johns. My name is Jacob Johns. I'm an artist. I'm also an activist. I do climate activism. I do a lot of different things. I'm based in the United States, and in the United States we have oppressive systems that are out of control. We have some scary things that are on their way. And those who support far-right fascism in this world, in this day and age, are violent. Last year, as I was at a prayer gathering in northern Mexico, a Trump supporter showed up at a prayer gathering and was very aggressive to the group and pulled out a gun and shot me in the chest, and I died. It was a hollow point bullet, so the pieces of the bullet went through my spine, it went through my spleen, it went through my stomach, it went through my pancreas, it went through my liver, it collapsed my lungs, and I had drains, 2 drains in my pancreas and 1 in my abdomen for 6 months. But as I was shot, I lost consciousness and I died. In that space beyond life and death, I met a council of spirits who told me that I had new obligations and I had to examine everything that I'd gone through with my life. And I wanted to come back into my body to continue to be a father to my young child who's 12 years old, my daughter. And they told me it wasn't going to be easy, that it was going to be painful, that it was going to be very difficult for me to get back into my body. And I had to sign new life contracts that allowed me to, or that forced me to do things to be obligated to be released from this life. And from that moment of death, I was able to come back into the body. And it reminds me of a story that we say in our traditions, where we talk about a caterpillar who feels his body getting stiff, feels his bones getting achy, and his body becomes harder and harder until he can't move. And this caterpillar thinks of itself as being dying, that everything it knows as itself is going to die, it's going to end, and it's getting harder, he cannot move, and eventually all that he knows is this cocoon. But inside of that space beyond life and death, this caterpillar itself transforms into a beautiful butterfly without realizing that this is its final destination. And this is that song.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Noé. My name is Noé. And je vais vous lire un poème que j'ai écrit hier en français. It's going to be in French, but I'll tell you the story afterwards. Je vous emmène faire un petit voyage dans l'espace, prendre un peu de distance, avoir une vue un peu large. Est-ce que tu penses pouvoir improviser a little bit some music on the... Yeah? Ok. Chaque année, nous célébrons notre propre anniversaire. Cet instant que nous vivons, respirant sur notre terre. Chaque année, un nouveau tour de notre précieuse étoile. En 365 jours, tel un grand vaisseau spatial. Certains courent dans ces couloirs, ou bien percent la carlingue et se battent tous les soirs, menant une vie de dingue. D'autres dorment, se prélassent, ignorant la vie à bord, ou bien rêvent d'un ailleurs, trop mécontents de leur sort. D'autres admirent le paysage, profitant de ce voyage. Remercient pour le cadeau et partagent le plus beau. Regardez bien les enfants, ce vaisseau comme il est grand. Tous ensemble, soyons sages. Nous sommes un seul équipage. Portons haute la lumière qui chasse l'obscurité. La seule terre de l'univers, c'est à nous qu'on l'a donnée. So I want to take you to space a little bit, just to get the big picture of what's happening here around us and for us. Actually, this is our story. And every day we celebrate, each one of us, we celebrate our birthday. And our birthday is what? Is 1 year on the planet Earth, going around the sun. One time every year. I've been around 74 times. I don't know about you. And when you look at it from afar, I mean, you can think of it as a spaceship. And what's happening on this spaceship? Some people are fighting, some people are drilling holes in the body of the plane, of the vessel. Some people are sleeping, dreaming away about other planets, about another life. And some people are just opening their eyes and enjoying the ride, sharing what's the best in them. And this story can work for kids as well, because I finished by saying that this is the place we're on, this is the vessel we're traveling on, and let's be very wise, and let's, how did I say that? Let's be very wise. There's only one crew. We are the only crew. Let's hold the light high to get rid of darkness. The only earth in the universe has been given to us. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to play with you. I will play Overture for Human Rights. This is for a full orchestra, symphonic orchestra, and choir. I'm not a symphonic orchestra, as you can see, and I'm not a choir. So I will play all the notes, not only piano, I will play the cello, double bass, French horns, flute, part of the choir. I have in my mind, I will try to do a special version for this moment. And you can feel, I hope, the moment in which the different instruments are played little by little, like in a Pacific Revolution, say, okay, please, do for real the human rights. Cellos, violoncellos, French horn. Violins.
In Paris, Juan Simero performed for us with only an electronic synthesizer. We want you to experience his music again with a full orchestra performing another of his compositions. He is sharing the performance you're about to see, Adagio for violin, piano, and string orchestra, performed by Ira Malikian on violin, Juan Antonio Simero on piano, and the orchestra on the roof. Afterwards, Ambassador Chowdhury shares a closing message with the Paris Summit. Then I'll be back with some final words.
Hi again. Welcome back. How many of you had the opportunity to visit the museum last night? How was it? Good? Yeah? You have to come back. Yes. How many of you enjoyed the cocktail? That was the most important part of the day, right? Yeah, I know. All right. We're coming to the part of the summit that's very important, building intergenerational strategies for peace education. So we may not know exactly who the leaders of tomorrow will be, that's for sure, but we know what generation they will come from. So we want to make sure that this generation, which it happens to be mine, is peace educated. So please welcome our next roundtable. The chair of this roundtable is Alexandra Torres Pons. Is she here? Hello. Yes. European Youth Parliament. Welcome on stage. And you have a second chair. Elina, is it the way we pronounce it? Hello. De la mano marco.
And then I think it's going to be more interactive if we kind of divide our table into two. So we're going to have a first table with Matash and 4 of our speakers, and it's going to be about intergenerational. And then I'm going to chair another short table on just what is the youth situation, and they're going to have an intervention on how they've experienced peace. So you get both views, the debate and the actual overall self-experience. So I'll be back with you in about 25-30 minutes. And I'll leave you with Alexandra. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so how we're gonna structure this table, everyone will obviously introduce themselves at the beginning, and then we will start with a bit of an introduction from our dear doctor, and then we can kind of elaborate on that as his work is really, really related to intergenerational strategies for peace building. So if everyone can please, maybe we can start with Nuria here, start introducing themselves a bit, and then we can go back to that.
Okay, so my name is Nuria. I'm a student. I'm just 20 years old, and right now I'm studying in Brussels economics. I think just a bit of my background. I'm Spanish from Madrid.
I am Indira Vera. I am a European studies student doing political science and international relations. And I'm Spanish in Madrid. So I'm here to give a little bit of Europe perspective from my 19-year-old short experience. So.
Hi everyone, I'm Neo. I'm half South African, half Dutch, grew up in Johannesburg. I study in the States, but I'm currently doing a year at Oxford, and I study archaeology, anthropology, and Arabic, and I'm going to be talking about some of my research experience.
Good morning everyone, my name is Mitesh Desai. As you've heard, I'm a doctor, I'm a medical doctor by background. I work in intensive care and previously worked in HIV medicine. It's a real pleasure to be here to be speaking to you and sharing a little bit about the Prem Rawat Foundation's signature peace education program.
Hi everyone, I'm Christelle Lisbine. I'm Asian. I'm a medical doctor, and actually I'm doing a master in public health, specialized in nutrition, and I'm also a Young Peace Ambassador of ICESCO.
All right, thank you so much for those lovely introductions. I feel like this is going to be a very interesting table, so I'm very excited to hear how it goes. All right, so Doctor, would you like to begin by kind of giving us an overview about your program?
Thank you. But before I start, I'm just going to ask the audience a few questions. Yesterday, someone said that peace was abstract. How many of you agree that peace is abstract? Raise your hand. Okay, so quite a lot of us. And how difficult is it to talk to people about something that's abstract? Right, it's really difficult, right?
Very much so.
And then we want people to buy into something, or at least be aware of making a change for something that's intangible and abstract. Keep that in mind when I talk to you about the intergenerational work that we have been doing with the Prem Rawat Foundation's Peace Education Program. So it's been amazing hearing about so many different efforts that we're all making. And what is clear is that it's going to take a collective coming together of all these solutions to actually make a difference. And I want to go back to somewhere where we have something tangible and something that's common to us all. So intergenerationally, we are talking about every person on this planet. Whether we're talking about somebody who has just this minute been born, all the way through to perhaps they've lived a very long life and are just this minute about to leave us and transition. That's a lot of people. But we all have a fundamental in common, which is our humanity, the fact that we are human beings. And the Peace Education Programme from the Prem Rawat Foundation focuses on that commonality of the human being. And it is for this reason that it has actually been received intergenerationally, whether it's in schools, colleges, universities, whether it's in the wider community, educational settings, corrections, probation, parole, health and well-being, or even in senior centres, because the focus is on the human being. And what is it about the course, the programme, that makes that possible? Well, the Peace Education Programme comprises 10 workshops, which focus on the 10 innate strengths that we have: dignity, peace, hope, self-awareness, contentment, understanding, clarity. These are all strengths that we have, and the programme focuses on the good that we have, and it shines a light for the person to understand what they already have. We speak about peace building, but we sometimes forget to recognise that we have a platform of strength that's so solid that comes from within, that actually we could do a lot more if we're just conscious of those skills. And what the Peace Education Programme does is give course participants the opportunity to critically think, genuinely reflect, and thoughtfully discuss through interactions and facilitated workshops on these themes to come to their own understanding of what these strengths mean for them. And in doing so, they have the opportunity to discover the possibility of personal peace. Now, I'm a doctor, and one thing that I have to remind myself is that I can do a lot of things for my patients, but true healing can only come from within the patient. So if you've broken your ankle, now I wouldn't do this because I'm not qualified, but my colleagues can put your ankle in a brace, can put it in a plaster, they can operate on you and put metal things inside to help align your bone. But your bone can only heal itself. Your body has to do the healing. And yesterday, His Excellency the Ambassador was talking about the body as an example of how we as a society, we as a planet need to come together and work together. What Peace Education Programme has done, and through my research what I found, is that when people go through the programme, they talk about the impact that it has had and what they are actually doing differently. And they speak about greater appreciation of the self, greater appreciation of life, increased self-efficacy, what we call confidence and trust that we can do what we want to do, having the strength that we have, recognizing our strength. And also, because of the discussion that they have, they speak about empathy towards others. In understanding their own humanity and understanding their own value, they begin to understand the humanity of others and the value of others. And when you look at what we're all trying to do and where we have to start from, and I'm coming back to the analogy, we're trying to get to helping people to find the strength from within, because that's where the true healing, that's where the true strength comes from. And everything else we have is building on that. And this is why we've had courses in 80 countries, 34 languages to date, and over 500,000 people have been through our program across the generations.
Wow, that was impressive, and I think that metaphor was beautiful, wasn't it? Yeah. It makes a lot of sense, and it gives a lot to think about. And I think as young people as well, we are very used to having so many interactions with people our age, with older people, with younger people as well. And this inner peace strategy that you provide, I think it really can reflect on how those interactions and the nature that will develop from them. So I would like for maybe everyone to kind of give their point of view on that, so maybe we can start a dialogue after. So we can start with Nuria and then go around. Let's try and keep it short and sweet, and yeah.
Okay, I think as you mentioned, it's quite important to know about others and to get to know their culture, to understand like how to interact, not only intergenerationally, but also interculturally. If you know what their background has been, it is better to know how to approach them and how to have better conversations which get that like deep down in knowledge. So for me, I get that.
Yes, hearing to you, we have been talking about empathy, we have been talking about confidence. We have been talking precisely about building confidence and trust. And here I just wanted to put a big red mark, because for me, for example, from a youth perspective, I do think that our environment and our background has to be aligned with all these things. And yesterday, for example, we mentioned many times this aspect of polarizing everything. Not only we're seeing polarization in our world politics, in our national politics, but it is not only politics, it is our main society. I'm Spanish, and I'm actually seeing, and it is really sad to see how my own society is being divided day by day. And I wanted to put this big red mark here, because I do think for us, the youth, it is really important to tell us somehow you need to still have hope, because sometimes we feel we just don't. We're talking about peace education, and peace education is precisely, we all have this concept of peace, I guess, but peace education is precisely providing the youth the tools to face this polarized world. So I think we need our support, and also it is not only getting support, it is not only getting the tools, it is providing safe space for us to have a voice, because many times, and actually this is pretty funny, because we see many times that nowadays it is so trending to say, no, yes, because I'm this company and I have this youth support and I'm giving the voices to the youth. But are they really giving us voices? Or it is just a checklist, a mark in your checklist to say, like, to be more, no, yes, from the public opinion. To be, yes, no, but I have youth voices, so I'm doing great, okay, I'm collaborating. So we ask for real collaboration, and we're talking about building confidence. For building confidence, we do need safe spaces and supportive backgrounds. I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
I just kind of want to go back to something you talked about, like building peace on an individual level. And I kind of want to touch on it from a community organizing perspective, because I think in a lot of, especially youth, like community organizing, intergenerational initiatives, we often see that experiences are generationally relative, but we don't often implement solutions that are generationally relative. So I want to spotlight an organization that I worked with a lot for a couple of years, which is called Action Break Silence. So as I said, I'm originally from South Africa, and we have a big problem with violence against women and girls, gender-based violence. And so what this organization really did is recognize that like the solution to this is both sex relative and like generationally relative. Started working with primary school boys and girls all the way up to like into adulthood, and then really designing sessions around like what is relevant to that age group, the types of things that they experience. And it doesn't always have to be necessarily around talking about these complex issues of gender-based violence to a 5-year-old child. Sometimes it's just about teaching them. We run a lot of self-love workshops at a younger age level, because I think there's an importance in recognizing that at a base level, you are a valuable contributor to society, and that what you do matters. And obviously, positively, we want youth to feel they have the ability to make a positive contribution to society. But equally, when you're looking at making these broader structural changes, you want them to recognize that they also have the power to do harm, and they can contribute negatively to the system, and that's something that you need to actively be conscious of and working against. So I think that's one way in which these intergenerational strategies are effective. And equally, I want to spotlight another project that I worked on, which is the Community Learning Research Fellowship, which allowed me to work in a refugee center, where oftentimes when we're looking at the reintegration of refugees into society, we often think about it as a blanket solution, and what happens is it often gets overrun by what is important to the parents, which is obviously often language acquisition skills, finding a job, those types of more economic forms of integration, whereas that means that youth are often excluded because social integration relatively is less important in the initial stages. So having youth researchers come in and really focus on that allows equal attention to go to all different types of micro-identities within this larger spectrum of refugees. And also really shows that the positionality of community organizers is just as important as the work that they do. So I think that's just two quick ways I wanted to spotlight why intergenerational contributions and community organizing are important.
I will share my opinion in French.
That's okay.
Bon, déjà, je remercie le directeur général de l'ICESCO.
I would like to thank the Director General of ICESCO, Dr. Salim Al-Malik, and his entire team, the management of the humanities and social sciences sector, who gave us the opportunity to be ambassadors for the appeal. He attaches great importance to young people, and the proof is that I am here. And we also have things to say as young people. What is interesting about the Leadership for Peace and Security program is that it takes a somewhat holistic approach. They encourage all actors who are involved in peace, whether they are doctors, engineers, or people working on climate change. And we already have ambassadors who were at COP28 this year. So for me, peace is educating for peace. It's working together. Peace is something we all have to work for. Peace is not individual. All actors must come together to fight for peace. And I am Haitian. I come from a country that is currently shaken by violence. There is blood flowing freely in the capital. And I see that I am in a very good position to raise awareness among young people like me to promote peace, which must start very early, from a young age. Starting in elementary school, we must encourage young people to take responsibility, to become leaders in schools, to integrate adults, to learn to lead, to not always victimize themselves. And that is what peace is all about. Peace starts with that, in the family, teaching children to share and not to force others. For me, that's peace. It's very simple. It's not complicated. Peace starts with the little things. It starts with a family, at school. As a doctor, I am an ambassador for peace at the hospital. And I am also one at the university. For me, that's what peace is. It's interdependence. We are connected in this struggle for peace, and my message today is simply to tell you that you are all ambassadors of peace. And being an ambassador of peace is not just about being. It's not a responsibility delegated by an organization or an association. Being an ambassador of peace is a way of life, a philosophy of life. You are all ambassadors for peace, and I believe that today is the last day. And I want to leave you with this message. You are all ambassadors for peace. Don't wait for the party to ask you to be an ambassador of peace. And what is peace? Who are we? That's what being an ambassador of peace is all about. It's about promoting change in an environment. Another thing, or no. I think being an ambassador of peace is not about giving speeches. Being an ambassador of peace is about behavior. It's who we are when the spotlight is off. That's it. That's what talking about peace is. Staying authentic. It's staying sincere. That's what peace means to me, and I really encourage young people to cultivate this spirit of peace because the world needs it. My country needs it. It's difficult to be a student abroad and see the media reporting on the violence in your country, to see people displaced because of armed bandits. So that affects me. It pushes me to remain an ambassador for peace because there is still a lot to be done to achieve that peace. And even though I'm abroad, it affects me because what affects your project can affect your nationality, can affect your race. It must affect everyone. And that's what peace is all about. And that's what we also promote during the Peace Ambassador program at ISESCO. It's inclusivity, it's cultural diversity. We are currently 180 peace ambassadors coming from various continents, from Africa, Asia, Latin America, and it's beautiful. I did all of my studies abroad. It's wonderful to live in this cultural diversity, to share who you are, your culture, to reach out to others, to discover others. That is what peace is, and that is what I would like you to keep in mind. Peace is who we are. You are all ambassadors of peace. Thank you very much.
So much for that. I would reply in French. My French is not good enough to reply in French, so I apologize for that. And we do not have a lot of time left, just like maybe 2 minutes. So just I have like one quick finishing note because I feel like something I can extrapolate from the general message is that it's about finding kind of a balance of trying to work your inner peace, and that's what the Prem-Rawat Foundation kind of does. But there are so many social and generational hindrances to that, right? So just very quickly, I would like to go around and just say and really tackle on how you want or intend to bridge that gap and find that balance between finding their inner peace and facing all this social, generational challenges you have. Within 30 days, what is something, quick action, just make it short and sweet because we're really running out of time. So yeah, just going around fast and then we can switch off to the other youth table.
Yes, I want to address that you are our role models. Like other people are our role models and we need people that makes their things better. So if we follow people that already try to do their best in their lives, younger people will also do better and will also be kind of in better ambience, in better environments. So somehow try to, all of us, change tomorrow and change our future, because that will mark our generation and also your daughters, your niece or whatever. It's just that, please.
For me, inner peace is directly related to meditation and thinking about yourself and your environment. But I also, if we're talking about one action in the next 30 days that we will all need to be doing in order to have in order to see some change in general, like a starting point, I would say start asking questions. For us, for the youth, start engaging in debates, start questioning your system, start questioning everything, your own feelings even. Because through questioning, go to understanding, and for me, understanding is peace.
Yeah, I would really echo what has been said. I think often this idea of the youth are the hope is this almost get out of jail free card for people who are currently actively contributing to systems that are making it harder for people to change in the future. So I think it is not just saying, oh, this is great, you guys are gonna do great, good luck. I think it is a mix of that and understanding that right now, it's not that after you reach a certain age, you stop having value, you stop contributing actively to the future, right? And I think that's something that we need to learn really early, but also not stop thinking the older we get.
So many rich comments, and I wish I could respond to them all. But, at the heart of, coming back to, there isn't a single fix for the situation we find ourselves, but there is a commonality. That if we get behind the commonality, there's a lot of things that can come, that can strengthen and address all the things that you've spoken about. So if we come back to personal peace, if you understand what peace is for you, starting with yourself, what happens with the course participants is when they understand what peace is to them, when they appreciate who they are, the life that they have, the strength that they have, and then they also start demonstrating empathy towards other people. They report a transformation in themselves. They make decisions, they make choices that mean that they're doing the good that we are wanting and that we're talking about. So we're talking about better societies, we're talking about taking care of our planet, we're talking about security, we're talking about empowerment. They find the empowerment from within. And we have to reflect back. When we want to make a change in our life, the most powerful prediction of change is not when someone oppresses us and say you have to change. It's when it comes from within, it comes from that desire, that strength from within that we truly change, and that's the change that becomes perpetual in our lives. And just that, and this is what we're trying to do with peace. So help people find their strength for the peace that they want. Because when they do that, you will find that they can't create barriers because they appreciate your humanity, right? They want to then work with you, for you, and for themselves. And so coming back to that basic premise of personal peace and making that tangible, because the other thing we're talking about so many challenges, and how disempowering is it when we talk about something that we feel that the solution is not in our hands because too many other people are controlling the situation. So we talk about world peace and then everybody goes, well, it's not possible because of this, this, and this. So let's come back to something that is possible. Personal peace is possible. And if we can say that in 30 days we want to understand what personal peace is, that could be a commitment. Because when you come from that clarity, maybe rather than following, you become a leader. And you don't need to lead others, you need to lead yourself. And I talk about the 10 themes of the Peace Education Program as self-leadership skills. Because when you master yourself and you take care of the peace in your life, well, guess what? You transform your world, and when you transform your world, you transform the world of the people around you.
That was beautiful. All right, last note.
Comme vous venez de dire, la paix est bien possible, c'est pas impossible. Déjà, il faut avoir la conviction que c'est possible. Et lorsqu'on a cette conviction que la paix est possible, peu importe en fait cette tempête qui nous secoue, on va garder cette conviction. Et c'est ce que nous devons avoir lorsqu'on lutte pour la paix. C'est croire que la paix est possible. C'est croire en cette vérité qui va nous pousser à rester debout, peu importe ce qui va nous secouer. Parce que lutter pour la paix, c'est pas évident. C'est pas évident d'être en paix déjà avec soi-même, parce qu'on est bousculé par beaucoup de difficultés dans la vie. Ce n'est pas facile d'être en paix avec les autres lorsqu'on doit supporter les défauts de l'autre. Déjà, c'est difficile en fait pour garder cette tranquillité dans notre environnement. Donc moi, il faut toujours faire confiance à votre propre vérité. Il faut déjà avoir une lutte pour soi. Et la lutte pour la paix, c'est agréable. Vous devez vous poser cette question. Qu'est-ce que je fais chaque jour pour apporter la paix dans le monde? Ça, c'est une question, je pense que ça va vous pousser à agir, pas seulement quelques jours, pas seulement aujourd'hui lors de cette conférence, mais tous les jours. Qu'est-ce que vous faites pour améliorer le monde? Qu'est-ce que vous faites pour apporter la paix dans votre famille, dans votre travail? Comment agissez-vous avec vos collègues? Comment agissez-vous avec vos enfants? Que faites-vous? Vous devez toujours, tous les jours, faire cette introspection. Parce que le monde bouge et le monde vous pousse à changer. Le monde vous pousse à changer qui vous êtes. Donc, pour moi, la paix, c'est tous les jours faire une introspection de qui l'on est pour rester sur cette conviction que l'on a que la paix est possible.
Thank you. And I think, well, we can keep rolling. I think that gives everyone, to put it in school terms, a lot of homework. So by first looking at how the youth can actually sometimes even educate us in all levels of a generation, this connects with the previous panel. So Lydia is going to talk to us a little bit about how we can do that overlap of different cultures, of different educations, and how it can work out. So Lydia?
Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Lydia. I can speak about how the social media and how the youth has been really involved. We have been like on this generation, we have been like from young ages always involved and interconnected between us. From one place to another, we have all the information or whatever elements to know new things, be aware of what is happening around us, and I think that this really get us all involved in. We want something. We want to have something in the future. We want to get to somewhere, and also that hey, we are here and we want to have like a voice. So for us, that sometimes we don't even have, I really appreciate, have a place to speak, to be loud and to be seen where we are seated. And I think that this is for me, for example, or the way that we could communicate that is like that platform, or that way that we have like safe space to use it and spread what we think and what we want to get. So for us that we are all the time knowing what we can have or not, and all our opinions and spreading down all there, is like to say, for example, okay, I know this or is happening all these things around me, and I want to all the people to know it, and all this information is going to get to other new ones, and they are like, oh my god, it's happening all these things, and I want to be conscious about what is happening, and it's like in some way we're like educating all of us on what is and what we want to the future, and use that voice so in the future get something that we really want to get and appreciate in some way. So
thank you, Lydia. I think you touched on some important points, like not only how the youth has not always been given the relevance it often needs, but also like the whole level of disinformation and how we can tackle that. So thank you for your intervention. Next, I think we're going to go a little bit more globally, and we're going to have an intervention from one of our youth leaders, specifically that has traveled a lot and has a chance to, with the purpose of doing peace education, help out on the world. So Carol, if you want to tell us your experience as a traveler.
Sure, thank you. Well, I'm Carolina. I now study International Management and Development, and as Elena said, I've traveled a little bit around the world in both rural and urban communities. And one thing that I can say from all of the places in the world is that young people, it doesn't matter, like despite their religion, their culture, their economic
status or whatever. It doesn't really matter. At the end, everyone we want to help, especially young people. But the problem is that we don't have the platforms, the resources. We don't have the people there to hear our voices. But we all have so much power and so much ambition between and inside of us. And I think that it's really important when it comes to peace education for all the generations, because you guys are wiser and have a lot more experience in the field that we do, to teach us not only about peace, but also about like the difference in cultures and how to approach people from all over the world, because everyone needs different things, and it's really important to also look into like the local communities and how to like help them actually. But yeah, I think that overall, young people has so many things to bring to the table. We have so much ambition. We just need the knowledge and the support from the older generations to actually put all that we have in our minds and hearts into practice.
Thank you, Carol. I think this connects really well with the previous panel, and just finding that overall balance of the bigger, the older generations having more experience and us having that ambition and that motivation and that passion to make a change. Having said that though, I think sometimes it can even be limiting from within where we live. So I want Marina to talk a little bit about how household structures themselves and where we come from can dictate how we behave and how we do peace and how we just live our lives. So Marina, if you want to share your experience.
Hi, I'm Marina and I'm 20 years old. I'm from Barcelona, but I currently work and study Danish in Denmark. I moved to Denmark 2 years ago. After my baccalaureate studies, I decided that I just didn't want to go into university. And well, that didn't feel really right on my parents' side and my family. They thought that as a working class family, it was like so weird and so bad and so dangerous to just go out of the path and go out of the path of stability and the frenetism of just education, work and family afterwards. Even though I didn't have that support, I still decided to go away and try and follow my intuition, to say it somehow. And I changed a lot of times. I went to another city in Denmark, I then went to Brussels, and I moved back to Denmark again. And within all this time, I had like kind of like a dissonance and guilt. Like, okay, I'm not actually doing what I've always been taught that it was right, but at the same time, it's like feeling right. Am I doing the worst decision of my life? But this feels right, I'm going fine. And within my economic and personal capabilities, I'm fitting into the situation. So what is actually happening? What am I supposed to do? And am I doing the right things? Well, I felt all of this time, and I still feel the resentment from my family, but I'm happy. I'm actually happy within my situation. So the message I want to send today within these family structures and my own personal situation is that peace is also losing these familiar structures that hold back the liberty of choice, usually the young ones that want to go away and try new things. It's also a tool to how to lead one life, how to experiment, and how to make mistakes as well. Basically, for me, peace education is the tool to diversify life paths and as well coexist within that diversity. So
thank you, Marina. So yeah, it's this whole idea how like there's different ways of doing peace, right? So talking specifically how there's different ways of doing peace, let's go back to the local level. So we're gonna have our own poet from this morning talk a little bit about how she's experienced peace and youth leadership in the diplomatic local level. So just as an activist, what do you think?
Yeah, so hello everyone. Just to do a bit of background, I got into activism really young. By 16, I had, along with I was in an organization called Girls in Science for SDGs that is linked to the New York Royal Science Academy. And by 16, we had presented a program that was signed in the UN, and I was a speaker. So I started into the diplomatic world from a really young age. And it is a very interesting world to experience as a teenager, right? It is very big. It's also sometimes a bit overwhelming because you feel that you are behind everyone that is so much more experienced, and I think it's something that we could say we've also experienced in this conference, in the sense of there's so many experts and we are here because we bring a different perspective, but it's not often recognized that that perspective is as valid. So yes, so from that experience, I think I went face forward into the complexities of really strict hierarchical systems. And this is a conversation we constantly have when we talk about, do we want to, as people involved in politics and policy, do we want to reach from the international high level, or do we actually want to go to the grassroots? Do we want to reach into the local? Do we want to talk more to the people and less in complex ways, right? So for me, the way that I handled it is I ended up believing that there's a lot of things that are happening very high level, but there's also not a lot of people that have the opportunity to get up there and have the time to dedicate to that. So I founded a youth activism group that is based in Spain. Marina is actually part of the team as well. And from there, we started working forward from the youth. We are the ones who are taking the decisions, but we are also facing a lot of consequences. We often don't have the knowledge on how to handle things. For example, we were recently awarded one specific project development financing from the university, and there's so much bureaucracy that no one teaches you how to do. I'm sure you have all experienced it at some point, but starting and wanting to bring up different voices, you either go from a path in which you are less heard, and I think it also makes sense because we have different expertise, or you go in a path in which you have a lot of voice, but you have very little reach. So it's kind of a complicated balance to find, right? And I think for that it's really helpful to be on the local, but think globally, right? This motto of think global, act local, because in the end, the people we want to reach are real persons. They're not policymakers, they are not high-level officials. So that is what I wanted to add.
Thank you, Noah. I really like highlighting the balance between the local and the global, because it often happens that when all these important people get together, we only talk about like all the issues, but we can start much lower than that. And it goes back to, I think, Isesco was speaking about this, how individually we have to find that inner peace. So thank you. Lastly, I want to finish on a note that is really relevant to the youth in general, which is not letting rivalry between us stop us. This can happen at all generational levels, but basically making sure that we're in this together. Because obviously as like students in general, there's competition, like you want that job, you want that position, let's not let it stop us. So Gonzalo?
Yeah, thank you. I want to start, we all are young, you were young, we all have been young. So which is the first question we gotta ask for reaching global peace? In my opinion, the first thing we should address as young in our cases is being all unite for one unique goal, which is global peace at the end of the day. So in my case, for example, I've been lucky to attend many conferences, at the international level and also at local level. And I've met young people, not only older people that, for example, we are meeting here, but also people from our ages that are our very same level of study at university, and they are reaching to go over you at the end. Like they just have their own objectives. They are maybe individualists that they only want a goal, and so that they are able, or they want to piece off you, like you just go through that and just start a competitive environment that isn't healthy after all, because we are all here working for, in our case, we are here 2 days at our conference in Paris, just working or looking for purposes, global solutions for a global peace, and we have tackled by different overviews. So yeah, overall my point of view will be we should address this directly, and you need as young people, because we're going to be the leaders of the tomorrow. And so if we are not united and we don't have the clear goal to tackle that and how to do it without competing between us, that's going to be a problem, because we are not going to reach that goal that now is not being reached. So we have the key to change it. Let's do it now. And let's start working for the peace of tomorrow, and let's hope it's an infinity peace.
Thank you, Gonzalo. So yeah, it's just recognizing overall teamwork, which is what we're all doing here. Again, peace is that fluid, abstract thing. So there might be not a specific right way of doing it, but we have to work on it together. In an attempt of doing that too, we often obviously have like all given our own insights, and they can be quite limiting at some point. So we would like to open up the floor for any questions in which you might even challenge what we think, what we've experienced. So are there any thoughts that you want to bring up?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Gonzalo.
Thank you it was nice listening to you guys, so thank you for everything that you guys talked about. I think a question that kind of peaked in my head was, and this is also from personal experience, I grew up in a very underprivileged community in the Philippines, and something that I think about is we have the privilege, even as me as a student and as you guys, to really reach out and connect to people and to talk about peacemaking processes. But what is an idea or a way on how us as the youth can unite people who don't get an opportunity like this?
Okay, so from my experience, I think I believe a lot in education. I think that in a lot of ways, the pathway forward is to have people have the tools to speak up. Just for starters, I am able to talk in English and communicate with all of you, even though I'm Spanish, because I had the privilege of being able to study English. I think that's a privilege a lot of people don't have, and it's very hard to communicate when there's literal barriers just starting on the language, just starting on the culture. So from what, for example, Marina and I do in a lot of cases is try to bring in free ways education about the different aspects. I think also if we're talking about inequality, a lot of the times we are talking about injustices that are, as we would say, epistemic. It's a matter of words often. You cannot name an injustice if you do not know that that injustice exists. So if we want to move forward and if we want to have different people talking about their personal experiences, we need to be aware that those people often don't even know that, one, they are capable of doing it because they have never had references of how to do that. For me, that's why it's so important to go into equality debates and have representation. And two, that yes, to have representation, and two, to have actual ways that they can actively contribute. I think that just by talking and explaining different experiences we might have had, it generally changes lives. I think, for example, having a teacher that is feminist will change your life as a woman. Having representation as a minorized racial group or ethnic group will change your life. So if we want to talk about peace, we need to be aware that we cannot have the same exact faces being repeated in the same stages time after time.
And as a minor point, adding to that, for me it's also democratizing what you also learn. So for me, I kind of somehow discovered like this short Erasmus opportunities, which was an opportunity to travel 1 week and meet a lot of people, learn about something. And then I was talking about it with my friends in a very natural way, and none of them knew that. And I was like, okay, why is no one saying that to us? Because it's an actual super good opportunity for us to learn, for us to meet other people, for us to see someone that we would like to feel represented to, or like to have representation. I mean, I don't know, I think it's democratizing what you learn as well. And if not, you fall into this, what Gonzalo talked about before, this competitive of, I'm gonna silence myself because I don't want this person to know, because if they are also there, I'm not gonna have that position. And it's not about that, it's about democratizing the spaces, the learning skills, the learning tools, the education. I mean, aren't we living in democracies? Then let's democratize the spaces that in which we coexist.
I agree completely. I would just say also, like, don't be afraid of making mistakes. I think so many times I've had just political, simple conversation. It's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, so I don't want to engage in it. But maybe if you make that mistake of saying, oh, but I heard this about Trump, what does that mean? Maybe we together, like, we'll end up researching it together. And there's a whole, like, other level of information that is attained through that conversation and just the whole collaboration. And that is exactly what we want in peace education, right? We can't just stay at making peace. Like, we have to, like, learn and educate and be ready to make mistakes. Are there any other questions? Oh wow, okay. Sir, if that's okay, I saw your hand first. Yeah. The man, sorry.
Thank you very much, and it's great to see that you've already taken on the responsibility of promoting peace education and making a difference. That's really inspiring, and I'm sure you have all of our support behind you. My question is around the civic participation of young people in your respective countries. Could you share a bit about how active other young people are in your countries, the ones that you live in? Because for me, coming from the UK, we have a disconnect between young people who are advocates for peace, really active out in the community, protesting, signing petitions, really passionate about issues. But then when it comes to elections and voting or putting themselves forward to make decisions on these big issues, there are fewer and fewer young people who are doing that. And so I'd be interested to know what it's like in your countries and whether you've considered a career in politics where you can hopefully become decision makers and advance peace on a national level. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll give my perspective. It might change because we are from different parts of Spain and it depends on the background you are coming from, of course. What I have experienced coming from a southern neighborhood in Madrid is that not a lot of people are that involved in these maybe high level topics because there are some other concerns that affect society, in our case in Spain, even more just for worrying about global peace. Because, for example, this is a radical example, but when you don't have even to have food or you just have to help your mother by working 12 hours or 10 hours a day for having some money to reach food to your home, you are not getting a concern about global peace, you are just getting a concern about your own stability, you know? So, yeah, so what I was telling you is that maybe in our case, or my experience, is not that involvement, and that's a pity because, as for example, us as the European Union, young people had a lot of opportunities that it is very accessible to us. I, for example, been into the European Solidarity Corps, as Marina was telling, this kind of projects. They are very accessible. Most of them, they pay for you to travel there and they cover accommodation and other stuff for you to work and you to meet people around you and to reach these high-level terms and topics we were talking about. So I think it is more a term that there are more concerns that affect the society, but we have the opportunities we need for working on it. So as I was talking in my previous intervention, I think it is a matter of course, working for your personal concerns, but as well just to start focusing on the opportunities we have that most of them are unknown for most of the John Society in Spain. But that's my
Yeah, I quite agree. I've not actually lived in Spain that many years. I've been in the UK, in London, and in Brussels. And for me, I think, to a certain extent, I don't think it's realistic to think that everybody's going to participate, because I just have those friends where it's like, I'm very in my neurology, whatever studies, and I just don't interest. What I think you have to do in that situation is not push, because in my experience, when you push them, it just gets even more like, I hate politics, just get away from me, kinda. Instead, I think, bring it to their field, and that's what I do. Like, I remind them how it will help them with their studies, how, well, you're worried right now about your universities and like not finding a job. Well, like, look at, like, it's all related, right? Like, in the end of the day, like, these issues that they start in politics, but they go to all the fields, right? And then, more importantly, again, like, have those conversations and also explain. Like, I feel like, for example, when we had elections in my case in Spain, a lot of people didn't understand how you did the online application. So all the people who were brought with me, they were like, I can't really actually elect because I don't know how to. And I literally sat down with them and asked their friend, but also like it was random people to like explain it. So I think that's the part where I think we've all agreed collaboration, and sometimes it has to be the older generation. So if my dad hadn't explained it to me, I would have never been able to explain it to them. So it's so interconnected. Sometimes it's even annoying. But that's what I would say. I think respectfully understanding that not everybody's going to be into it, but giving them the resources and in their own language.
I'm happy to be joining all of you at the closing session. We had 2 days of hectic work, and we are about to conclude the Global Summit for Peace Education. But before that, let me mention a few thoughts here for the session 8, which is titled Empowering the Culture of Peace. Simply put, the culture of peace as a concept, as a motivation, means that every one of us needs to consciously make peace and nonviolence a part of our daily existence. We should not isolate peace as something separate or distant. We should know how to relate to one another without being aggressive, without being violent, without being disrespectful, without neglect, without prejudice. It is important to realize that the absence of peace takes away the opportunities that we need to empower ourselves to face the challenges of our lives, individually and collectively. It is also a positive, dynamic, participatory process wherein dialogue is encouraged and conflicts are solved in a spirit of mutual understanding and cooperation. Each and every individual is important to the process of transformation required to secure the culture of peace in our world. Each person must be convinced that nonviolent cooperative action is possible. Also, on a global context, international peace and security can be best strengthened not by the actions of the states alone, but by women and men through the inculcation of the culture of peace and nonviolence in every human being and every sphere of activity. The objective of the culture of peace is the empowerment of people. Now, I believe after 2 days of deliberations is the time to sift through and distill those ideas into concrete, actionable agenda for realizing the objective of this summit. Two such major objectives of the summit had been envisaged as to assemble a global network of peace educators, and the other one is to establish a United Nations Peace Education Day. United Nations Peace Education Day or Global Peace Education Day. Collaborative actions among various participating organizations and individuals are essential to make progress in that direction. So that is, I believe, is very important for us to keep in mind that now that we finished the two-day summit, we interact with each other, we network with each other, we come together through cyberspace to meet and strategize how to make progress from this point.
Our 5th Global Peace Education Day webinar is drawing to a close, but I hope we will all continue to scale up peace education to reach billions of neighbors on the earth we all share. We want everyone possible to learn what it takes to live safe and secure, to earn a healthy living on a healthy planet, to live in peace with ourselves, with each other, and with our planet. Our aims are certainly ambitious, but as our CEO, David Weinberg, told us, let's remember the words of the cultural anthropologist Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. Before leaving you, I have 3 humble requests. First, please write down one thing you learned today that surprised you. Second, write down the name of one new group you discovered here that you will search for more information. And third, please visit our website and fill out the partnership form. Remember, you are the sponsor of this free seminar, and we're counting on you to help us continue our important work. On behalf of the Global Peace Education Network, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. I extend heartfelt appreciation to all of our distinguished presenters and the many volunteers that worked tirelessly for more than a year on this summit and the webinar. I know they all join me in urging you to take heart, prepare for peace.